Okay.
Oh no, man. We just lost our signal.
Yeah, we're down
Uh,
to 0.
we
And
lost
I
our
can't hear
signal.
anybody.
All right. Good old internet. How long were we not live?
At least 10 minutes. But before, when Ben went off of the thing, and it says it's
Yeah, me not being able to hear anybody
we're live
might
now.
have something to do with it.
We're live now. I'm hiding.
Yeah, but there's only one person on.
They'll come back. They always do.
Yeah, well, who's the one person? I think it's Ruth Ellen. There's 2
No, it's
people.
not Ruth Ellen. It's someone else. Um. All right. So, okay, you gotta stop pressing buttons. You gotta stop pressing buttons. Yeah, you get that. It's just not.
I'm
It's
trying to figure out why I can't hear you.
yeah. Well, you can't hear me because I
Because
don't
what?
know. But I've experienced in the past when I have shared my screen or we have brought a third person from the outside on
It
uh,
changes things.
that yes, you were unable to hear. So
Okay.
something going on with the restream program itself. These things are not fantastic. Wyoming Annie is back. Hattie is here. Guess what?
Hattie, put
Hattie's
Hattie on. I haven't seen Hattie. Hattie, come on, show your face. Hattie
Hattie.
McCutcheon, right?
Yeah, that's Hattie McCutcheon.
Get Hattie on. Where's Hattie?
Hattie's getting married.
Hattie's getting married. Hattie,
Uh,
come on. Come show your face here.
I gotta send her a link. Okay.
Send her a link. I want to see Hattie. I've known
Here,
Hattie forever. Hattie used
here's
to call me. She stopped calling me.
yeah. You know,
She got busy. She got herself a guy now. She got her married.
Elise, how are you, Elise?
Hi, Elise. Coach Elise.
Yeah. So our good health coaches are on, and
All right.
some of
Well,
them.
just back to the story. Treat cancer. First of all, basal carcinoma. It's great that you want to take care of it yourself with DMSO, but I wouldn't be playing with it. I would have it taken out. That being said, cancer needs to be regarded as a sign that the body is under duress. Cells are under duress. It's just MBFA. My body's falling apart disease. It's nothing
Uh,
special.
uh, uh,
What? What are you doing? What are you
um.
hemming and hawing?
Yeah. By the way, you don't have to yell because we hear you well, even though you
Oh,
can't
okay.
hear us. We hear you.
That's funny
What is?
when you can't hear people, you think you got to yell.
Yeah, that is the case. That is the case. Silos
What? I
escucho.
can't hear you. What?
What does silos escucho mean? Somebody translate that for me. We can hear you. I think maybe.
I think escucho means hearing.
Yeah, I think that means we can hear you. But
Okay.
yes, we hear you, or something like that. But at any rate, and so we're not on Facebook right now, but that's okay.
Do you think it's because of that video that we ran?
Okay, so we're not live. We're only live on YouTube right now. No, I think you pressed the button when you left.
No, I
Frankly,
did. Cut it out.
you're the
Don't be
button
blaming
pusher.
me.
You're the
Don't be
button
blaming
pusher.
me for your screw ups here.
Got it, got it. All right. So the second question that we have here, um, and thank you for answering that. Oh, by the way, I wanted to tell the folks something about the Pharmacist Ben's Academy, which can be found at pharmacistbensacademy.com. And there's a link on the screen that says join with school. Join us on school. I'm just going to show it again so that folks can see it. So this is the Pharmacist Ben's Academy website, and it's got some information on it. And you can see, I know you like the adrenals to be on top of the triangle,
I do. I
but
get very upset when it's not on top of the triangle.
it's still a triangle.
I know, but
And
it's a jumping off point. The whole idea of the triangle is you got the base and then you got the jumping off point, right? The
mhm.
base is the first 2 points. That's the key to everything. But then the tip of the triangle is where it jumps off into heart disease, cancer, autoimmunity, neurological issues, everything else. And it's really important because check this out, AJ. The third point is the triangle, is the adrenal thyroid complex, right?
Mm-hmm.
The adrenals are where you make your steroid hormones, your testosterone for men, especially when men get older. Younger men are making it in the gonads, the testes, but older men and older women are making their steroid hormones in their adrenals. If your adrenals, which by the way, they're making all the steroid hormones from cholesterol. So if you're on a statin drug, you're going to be suppressing your cholesterol production. You're going to have a problem with your steroid hormones. Follow me? So the adrenals are your stress glands. They're making cortisol and adrenaline. It's cortisol in the steroid hormone family. And they're also making your growth hormones, estrogen, testosterone, your building hormones. But if your adrenals are off making cortisol because you got inflammation, you're eating the wrong foods, you got a leaky gut, you got problems with hypoglycemia or blood sugar issues, etc., now you're going to have adrenal problems, adrenal fatigue, hyperpigmentation, skin problems, oily skin, sleep problems, anxiety issues, weight issues. And then the thyroid is responsive to the adrenal glands. So you end up with hypothyroidism. And hypothyroidism, not coincidentally,
Don't yell.
is an epidemic. Every year, the best-selling drugs in the top 4 or 5 best-selling drugs are adrenal or thyroxine, thyroid drugs. So hypothyroidism is everywhere. And the thyroid regulates the heart. It regulates the brain. It regulates the immune system. It regulates the skin. It regulates everything. So once you're hypothyroid, everything follows. This model of the triangle disease is impeccable. And nobody knows about it except for longevity people or people who've heard me talk. It explains everything. And it simplifies everything as well into these 2 basic points. The digestive system, which is how big stuff gets into the body, and the metabolic system, which is how quantum stuff gets into the cells. You follow? So there's 2 stages to getting into a cell. Everything's about the cell. It's not what you eat, it's what gets into the cell. So the first step is the digestive system. That's how your food makes it into the blood. And by the way, when you eat a food, like a 1% or even less goes into your blood. The rest of it gets dumped out, right? So you're getting just very, very tiny amounts. That goes into the blood. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is from the blood into the cell, and that's the metabolic system. And that's why those first 2 points are so fundamental to everything, because it's how you get stuff into the cell. And it simplifies the whole process. Remember, we want to simplify. Health has become so convoluted, and you don't really know what to do, who to listen to. It sounds complicated, and there's Latin, and there's doctors, and there's the medical model and diagnoses. It's just overwhelming. Digestion, metabolism, or digestion, blood sugar. That's it.
Pharmacist Ben, and I appreciate that. And what I want everyone to understand clearly is there are tons of people to listen to around the internet, around the world. But there are very few who give succinct, digestible answers to our health issues, our health problems, and more importantly, someone who teaches us how to understand what we're doing to ourselves, in a biochemical manner, not just in an assumptive manner. We can assume that when we eat a French fry, we're not doing well, or when we eat McDonald's, we're not doing well. But Pharmacist Ben can kind of explain to us, and has for the past 30 years, explained to us exactly what the common things that we do in our American lives or worldwide lives do, that are affecting our health outcomes, and how we can change them through changing our lifestyle and, as you call it, super saturating with the
Yeah,
right
because it becomes trite and it becomes jargon when you just give assertions. Don't eat French fries. Only eat good foods. Don't eat bad foods. Supplement. It becomes kind of in one ear and out the other. But when you explain the mechanism, French fries are going to end up irritating the intestine, and now you got stuff floating into the bloodstream. French fries are going to disturb the cell membrane, so now your cells can't communicate properly. So you got these mechanisms for fats. And if you eat the wrong fats, there's these mechanisms that are associated with all the health problems. You can't just say, I don't want to say just don't eat French fries. I want people to understand that the whole idea here is to be your own health authority. I don't want to be an authority. I just want to help people be their own authority. And the people who gravitate towards us, I believe, and you see what you think, AJ, and who gravitate towards longevity are skeptical of authorities. They're leaning towards cynicism, understandably. And I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that authority. And I question authority too. I always question authority. And we were talking to Ruth Ellen the other day. We grew up in the 70s. That was a thing. Question authority. And I think that's what you're supposed to do. You always want to question authorities. And if something is true, it'll stand up to questioning. I want people to. I've said this so many times. I hate talking behind people's backs. I want to get a physician on here so we can actually talk to them and ask them about why they're doing, prescribing beta blockers and statin drugs rather than helping people understand their bodies and use the health and nutrition. And in fairness, a lot of the doctors these days are getting hip to these more nutritional and alternative, what used to be called alternative ways of addressing health. So in fairness, it's getting better. But, there's still doctors who think this is silly. They think I'm a quack. I went on, I think I told you this. I went on TikTok. I did a video with this guy who likes to mix things up. He says when you mix things up on TikTok, you get attention. So he had to mix things up, and he had to ask me about sunscreens. So I gave my little take on sunscreens, and oh my God, did I get ripped. Holy cow. There's this one knucklehead doctor, this lady doctor. I want to mention her name. I'm not going to mention her name. And she actually, I'm not going to mention her name. She was a knucklehead, though.
I'm surprised you remember her name.
I remember her name, yeah. She put me on the screen and had me talking and then criticized everything I said while I was on the screen. And rolled her eyes while she did it. And she rolled her eyes. Yeah. And she rolled her eyes. Yeah. And then now, all I was saying is don't put toxic stuff on your skin, A, and you need the sun, B. Every little photon from the sun hits cholesterol in your skin and turns it into vitamin D. And you're going to, and the derm, and in fairness to this lady, as dingy as she was, stupid as she was repeating the dogma she learned in school because that's what they're taught. Stay out of the sun. The sun is the enemy. That's what they're taught.
How are they not required to do a year of research?
Because they're clinicians. And clinical chemistry is not biochemistry. Clinical chemistry is the chemistry of statistics and test scores and what your cholesterol is and your TSH is and your BMR is and your blood glucose is, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not telling anybody her name, especially now after I just called her a knucklehead.
We'll find that video. We will.
I'm not going to tell you. You're going to find the video. You're going to search for it. It was the most viral video. It was the most viral skincare video in the world for like a day. I'm talking like thousands of comments. And in fairness, most of the comments agreed with me, but there were still other people, who said, I never go out in the sun and Bernie, this guy's crazy and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Listen, here's the thing about sunscreens. If you understand chemistry, you can look at the molecule and you can tell you got a problem by looking at the molecule. You can tell that chemical structure is going to interact with photonic energy in a way that's going to be problematic. You can tell right away by looking at the structure. She's not a chemist. She's a clinician. So she's looking at the numbers. Oh, I have the percentage of people who go out in the sun and get skin cancer and this, that, and the other. She's not looking at the biochemistry of it or the organic chemistry of it. If you're an organic chemist, you can see the chemical structure of a sunscreen is going to be a big problem when it's out in the sun. It's going to be like estrogen. Go ahead.
She's a clinician, but using not a full set of data because she's not taking into account who's
she's going by scores. She's going by numbers.
But you're not in your data set. It doesn't include how many people were wearing sunscreen, how many people lathered
all of that. How many were smoking? How many were smoking? How many were going and eating fried foods? All of that. That's why I don't like statistics and I don't like epidemiology. Epidemiology is how we determine things. Studies, they call them. And studies, and I quote them, I use them in my articles and my blogs because they're kind of interesting, but to make decisions on a study is going to give you, you're not going to make good decisions because they're cherry picking the data. They're cherry picking the statistics, the criteria. So the criteria for epidemiological studies, it's impossible to include everything. It's like the China study when we talked about it a few months ago. We talked about the China study. You can't include all the criteria when you do epidemiology. The body is not a statistic. It's not a number. It's a biochemical phenomena. And so if you want to really get healthy, find a biochemist. The health is in the pathways. Clinicians use metrics because it's convenient. You don't have to understand chemistry. Do you know what the Chinese room thought thought experiment is? The Chinese room thought experiment was this a thought experiment, a philosophical experiment that this philosopher named John Searle came up with, and he said that if you have a box and you have a person inside it, and you ask it questions about Chinese, and the person inside is reading a Chinese English dictionary and answering the questions for you, from the outside, it looks like there's some knowledge there. Something's happening and it's intelligent, but in reality, there's no knowledge. Somebody's looking up in a book. And that's called the Chinese room fallacy or the Chinese room paradox. That's how health is. They're looking it up in a book. They don't understand the body. They're looking it up in a book. You got to understand the body. You got to understand chemistry if you're going to help people with their health. You can't look it up in a book. A book isn't going to give you the answer, but it sounds like people know what they're doing. It's like AI. If somebody uses AI, a lot of people in longevity, even a lot of people use AI, and they're repeating back stuff from AI, and people think that they know what they're talking about. They're just repeating stuff from AI. You got to have, in order to speak French, you got to understand the basic building blocks of French. You got to understand the syntax and the grammar. You can't just repeat things back by reading in a dictionary.
You hear that, Ruth Ellen? That's why I hate AI.
Yeah, I know you hate AI. You're an AI hater. Where AI excels is in structuring things. It's in building things. That's where AI excels, and you're a genius at that, AJ.
Okay, well, thanks. Okay, so Pharmacist Ben, a bunch of questions.
Let's get some questions.
I was gonna. I'm still going to. Dr. Drew Pinsky is promoting a product that I saw on television.
Yeah.
Called Fatty 15.
Oh yeah, that's a new fat. Is he Pinsky? They got Pinsky to promote it. Yeah, I saw that a couple years ago at a show, and it's an interesting fat. It's not essential, I don't think. They call it carbon 15. It is it's a saturated fatty acid. It's a saturated fat, and it's interesting. It's found in milk and dairy, beef. It's an interesting molecule. I think it's kind of new, so I don't know too much about it yet, but it could be beneficial. It's very expensive though.
So they have, in this combination, they have even chain called C16, aka palmitic acid.
Palmitic acid is it's the most common acid in the body. This one, C15, is decanoic acid. Penta means 5.
And
Deca means 10.
Yeah.
Correct. So it's
15.
penta. Yeah. In biochemistry, they name things so you can kind of understand them. Pentadecanoic acid is C15.
Yeah. Okay. And it's saying it integrates in our cell membranes and serves as armor for our cells. Protects
It's an
against
interesting substance.
ritual breakdown.
It's still it's patented, I think. So there's only one company selling it.
Trademark.
And you got to be a little bit skeptical when you only have one company. It's new. They got Pinsky to endorse it, but he's not. Pinsky's a psychiatrist, I think. You know, they just got him to endorse it. He was like famous or something.
Okay. We got several questions. I'm gonna start because this one was relevant. On Rumble, we have Lee 333.
Hi, Lee.
Daughter has high TSH and estrogen, but normal T3 and T4 and
All right.
normal liver function. Was told to hold off on trying to get pregnant. Any suggestion?
Yeah. Tell me about the estrogen again.
High TSH and estrogen.
Okay, so estrogen is birth control, and normal THA, normal T3 and T4 with high TSH means you're making enough hormone, but not. I mean, you're making hormone, but not enough hormone. TSH is thyroid stimulating hormone, right? Your pituitary makes more TSH because it senses the thyroid is getting lazy. Okay, listen to what I'm going to say here. This is very important. Why is the thyroid getting lazy? Well, here's a clue, and this is where being a biochemist transcends being a clinician. Okay, listen to what I'm going to say here. TSH senses the thyroid is getting lazy. Why is the thyroid getting lazy? Well, I'll give you a clue, and you answer this question, okay, AJ? Yes? I'm going to give you a clue. 9 out of 10 hypothyroid patients are women. It's a female disease.
So they're not producing as much estrogen.
Not quite. Because what did she tell you? Too much estrogen.
Too much estrogen.
Her adrenals are revved up. Too much estrogen or not clearing out estrogen. Remember, estrogen has to be cleared. Remember, we talked about this on Sunday. By the way, we do Zoom call every Sunday where we really take deep dives into all this stuff. So if you like this, it's hard to do it. You know, we only have 10 more minutes. But if you go on, if you join Pharmacist Ben Academy, we take deep dives into this. So estrogen is very powerful stuff. It has to be cleared quickly. The intestine, the liver, and the gallbladder are the triad of intestinal clearing organs. Everything's involved. The stomach's probably involved, pancreas is involved, but if you want to zoom in on the triad where estrogen's cleared, it's the intestine, the gallbladder, intestine, and the liver. Well, what do we know? A third of Americans have fatty liver disease. Only God knows how many people are dysbiotic, have dysbiosis and messed up gut bacteria and leaky gut. And we know 500,000 gallbladders are removed out of people's bodies every year. So everybody's got problems here. And gallstones are a female issue, largely. So what do? If you have high estrogen, which revs things up, and to compensate, the thyroid slows down. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
When cortisol and estrogen, those rev you up, adrenal hormones, rev you up, the thyroid will compensate by slowing down. And hyperadrenalism and hypothyroidism go hand in hand. Where have you heard this before? Third point on the triangle of disease. This is what we're talking about. The third point on the triangle of disease. So this is a person who has to focus on her estrogen. And there's lots of ways to do it. If it was me, I'd be working on elimination of estrogen. There's no such thing as amazing and clean. Hopefully nobody says that. That's like the most ridiculous thing that people say is I eat clean. Listen, I don't want
They're
to offend
working
anybody,
hard at
but
it.
that's ridiculous.
Of course.
How do you
But
know
the
what
point
eating
is,
clean? When somebody's sick and they say I eat clean, I'm not blaming this person. I'm not picking on this person, but I hear it all the time. I eat clean. Remember our friends. I don't know if she's on the call, right?
yeah,
I
of
only eat
course.
avocados. I just eat veggies. But I got fibromyalgia, endometriosis. All listen. First of all, if you're symptomatic, you're doing something wrong at the digestive level. I don't want to call it clean or not clean, but how do you know what you're eating clean? From who says you're eating clean? Oh, I read this influencer. I'm doing just what this influencer told me to do. I'm doing just what this doctor told me to do. I'm just doing just what I read on the internet. How do you know eating clean? What does eating clean mean? And I'm not picking on this person. I'm not. I hear it a lot.
She understands. She's laughing with you. But
Okay.
and I try and get people to understand the importance of the food diary. I'm talking to someone
Yes.
who signed up with us under Root Not Fruit, and I said to her today, she's probably watching. I said, "Do you keep a food diary?" She said, "This is my food diary. I eat this, and that
Yeah.
every."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
You
"Okay,
can't do it that way.
what are your
You,
symptoms? How's your digestion?" And she's like, "Oh, my digestion's fine."
my digestion's fine, but it's
But
not her
okay, but
fault.
your
It's
digestion's fine,
I know,
and
but it's not her fault. Let me tell you why. First of all, there's this thing called deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning. So I'm going to talk about that here in a second. But let me tell you what the problem with this. And I've told the story before, but it's fascinating to me. I talked to this gal. She had completely broken out. Clearly a food problem. There's no doubt about it. Clear. So I said to do a food diary. And she's a smart kid. This is a smart girl, not a dummy. And so she says to me, I said, call me back 2 weeks. She calls me back 2 weeks later and says, so what'd you find out? I said, nothing. Nothing seems to bother me. Everything's fine. And I'm like, there's no way. I could say by looking at you, there's no way. So I said, show me your food diary. So she has a food diary and she sends it to me. And she has it just like we do it with a line in the middle and the food she's eating. And the food she's eating are spam, fried chicken, cereal, just the worst foods you could possibly imagine, right? And then on the other side of the food diary, it says bloating, was gassy all week, broke out. She has a list of all the things. I said, you just told me there's no relation. You didn't find anything. Your digestion's fine. She actually wrote it down and it didn't get through. She was writing it. And when I asked her, she said, I've done no problem. Nothing seems to bother me. That's how out of tune we are. I'm not blaming anybody. It's not to pick on anybody or make fun of anybody. It's just important to keep this take account of this as healthcare professionals, as distributors, as health coaches, and as patients. And then the second thing, what I was saying earlier about deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning. Inductive reasoning is when you have a bunch of points and then you form a theory out of those points. That's the medical model. That's what epidemiology is. You take a bunch of points and then you form a conclusion from those points. But that's inherently flawed because there's always going to be points you missed. And that's going to affect the theory. You can't have all the points. You try to have as much as you can, but it's limited. Deductive reasoning is when you start with a premise and then you work downwards. The triangle of disease. The triangle of disease is your premise is you have the top. You have 3 points of bodily breakdown, and then you work downwards. You work on the digestive system and the blood sugar system and the adrenal thyroid complex. See what happens. Guess what happens? You get better. You get better. Just fasting will make you better. Just taking a day off from food. That's a triangle. Blood sugar. Keep your blood sugar stable. You'll feel better. That's how you do it. That's deductive reasoning. It's a much more effective way to draw conclusions. You come up with a premise, you test the premise, rather than come up with a bunch of points and then draw out a premise.
So this woman with the estrogen problem, she's going to work on her digestion.
Everybody with an estrogen problem, focus on the intestine, the gallbladder, and the liver. And, by the way, estrogen will damage the intestine, leading to leaky gut, leading to more toxicity in a vicious spiral. You understand what I'm saying? High levels of estrogen can be very inflammatory for the intestine. So you get this whole circle. Focus and another thing, histamine is released when you have damage to the small intestine, and histamine amplifies estrogenic symptoms. This is why menopausal women will get red and flushed a lot. They'll have issues with rosacea and redness.
Like the guy drinking beer at the bar.
Yes, like that. Exactly. You know, so if you focus on listen, you cannot go wrong by focusing on digestion. Don't take my word for it. Stop eating. One day, you have fibromyalgia, you're going to feel better. You have multiple sclerosis, you're going to feel better. You got skin problems, they're going to improve. Depending on how bad it is, it may take 2 days. Depending on how bad it is. But within a short period of time of not eating, you're going to feel better.
Lee, let us know if you are currently using longevity products that you can give to your daughter. So we're talking about, just to make it cost effective, we're talking about a Healthy Body Start Pack. You're going to add some MSM, add some glucogel, use Ultimate Enzymes, I-26. What else are you thinking, Pharmacist Ben?
You know, we should put together an entire pack. We do have one, don't we? On Root Not Fruit.
On Root Not Fruit, we have a digestive pack and we have a skyscraper pack. But in this particular case, she need and FucoidZ, of course. In this particular case, this person needs to fix the digestion and then patch that leaky gut.
Which case are we talking about? The endometriosis?
We're talking about the woman that wants her daughter to get pregnant.
Was told to hold this is the thyroid. This is the thyroid lady. Okay, yeah. Okay, so here's the deal about getting pregnant. When you're under a lot of duress, this woman's under a lot of duress. You can tell by the adrenal issues and the thyroid issues. Do you understand when I say duress, what that means? Burden.
You're under attack. You're stressed
It's
out.
burden, not attack necessarily, but burden. Mm-hmm. Okay, and that's a very important word. I use it a lot, but I don't want to go under the radar because I use it so much. It's a very important word. When the body is under duress, that's when all illness comes from. And if you want to boil it down, it has to do with energy. But we're not going to go there. We'll just say duress. When the body is under duress, it's not going to make a baby. Because that is that's the most stressful thing that can ever happen to a body, is to make a baby. You got a thing growing inside you, right? So all things have to be right for you to make a baby. But we don't care. We want to make a baby. The body's like, no baby. And you're like, yes, I want a baby. Okay, and so there are people who take pills to have force the body to make a baby. Estrogen tells the body no baby. Cortisol tells the body no baby. You've got to clear out the estrogen, stabilize the adrenal glands, and it starts with the intestine and the liver and the gallbladder. You might also want to try progesterone, which, unlike estrogen, which is birth control, progestational hormone, progesterone, is a baby-making hormone. It's a conception hormone.
Hold on.
Another thing, let me say one more thing. Duress is manifested neurologically by the sympathetic nervous system. Mm-hmm. So activate the parasympathetic nervous system if you want to make a baby. You know what we call that? Foreplay. That's what foreplay is. It's activating the parasympathetic nervous system so you can make a baby. That's why you get a foot rub or a back rub. Or that's why hot tubs had that reputation. Right? Right?
Hot tub was coming.
A hot tub has that reputation. Because you get all parasympathetic in the hot tub.
But there's two things. Her doctor told her not to try and get pregnant.
Because she's already got a burden. She's already got duress. Now you're going to, were you crazy? You're going to put more duress on the system?
Okay. And then second, then you mentioned progesterone. That's kind of like Darth Vader, right? You're telling the body's under duress. She uses progesterone. That doesn't solve her underlying issue, right?
It doesn't solve the underlying issue. Absolutely not. She has to solve the underlying issue. But along with solving the other underlying issue, progesterone can be supportive.
Okay.
And progesterone levels, progesterone is really interesting. Progesterone has a calming effect. Progesterone, the side effect from progesterone is you go to sleep. So progesterone is a very, antagonizes, or it's the opposite of estrogen. And most people in our culture, because estrogen is very similar, estrogen, there's only one progesterone, but there's dozens of estrogens. And they're found in nature, in plants, and they're found in synthetic material, plastics, phthalates, petroleum derivatives, sunscreens. Sunscreens are estrogenic. Preservatives, perfumes. There's a lot of shower curtains, new car smell, vinyl seats, the plastic that's that they put they put water in. You know, the thin plastics that they put baby water. They call it baby water, nursery water, or any water really. All of that. What's that? BPA. BPA. Yes, exactly. These molecules are very estrogen-like, and they throw off the estrogen system. And the more body fat you're carrying, A, the more estrogen you're making, because estrogen is made in body fat, and B, the more of these fake estrogens, they call them xenoestrogens, you're storing. So it's like this witch's brew of estrogen in most of our bodies. You know, Alex Jones is funny. Yeah, Alex Jones acts like a crazy. You know what I'm talking about, right? Alex Jones. He acts like a crazy guy, but he's not all that crazy. You know. So he used to say, "They're making the frogs gay. They're making the frogs gay," and everybody said, and they all laughed at him. They're making the frogs gay, and he was right. He was just in his own Alex Jones way. He was doing his thing, but he was right. Because the estrogen is in the water, and the frogs, they're not gay. I mean, that's stupid, but they're making the frogs gay. But he was right. They're becoming hermaphrodites. They have like two female organs and male organs. You know, they can't produce. They can't reproduce. Do you know infertility is a crisis around the world? It's a crisis.
South Korea, they're importing
all around the world. We have when I was growing up, you too. They say, "Oh, too many people, population explosion. There's too many." It's the opposite now. There's not enough people.
Well, you know, the eugenicists have something to do with that. So,
babe, who knows? You know, that's all. I don't want to go political, but you know,
wasn't progesterone?
No, progesterone is not. That's not even close to being right. Now, synthetic progesterone, which goes by the name medroxyprogesterone, stay away from that one. That one's a nasty one. That is true. But no, estrogen is the breast cancer one. But medroxy, they call Provera, is the brand name. There's a few different ones. But Provera is the most famous. That one is nasty. Medroxyprogesterone. Drug companies like to take the molecule and tweak it so they can patent it.
Okay, Trigger wants some asthma help. What can Trigger do about...
Stop triggering. That's exactly what you do. He's calling himself Trigger. Trigger, it's in your name. You're triggering asthma. Asthma's triggered. It's an immune reaction. Something's triggering the immune system. Where does the immune system live? Headquarters.
In the gut and the bones.
Boom. Well, it's born in the bones, but its headquarters is the immune system.
Okay.
Boom. First point. Triangle disease. People with asthma have high rates of eczema. Kids who have asthma have high rates of ear infections, nasal infections, eye infections. Maybe not eye infections, but respiratory infections.
Okay. So what about the prostaglandins? What can we do?
Prostaglandins are so amazing. So amazing. that it's like already late, but let me just say this. We can talk about it next time, maybe Friday, if you want to talk about prostaglandins. They're derived from fatty acids, many of them from essential fatty acids, and they are the intermediaries of inflammation and pain. They're the molecules of inflammation and pain. And controlling or modifying prostaglandins is how pain relievers and anti-inflammatories work, like aspirin and nonsteroidals. They work at the prostaglandin level. Prostaglandins, I got to go after this, but this is the take-home message here. The last thing I want to say. Inflammation and pain are controlled by fats, and our reliance on fried fats and processed fats and distorted Franken fats is responsible in many ways and largely for our epidemic of inflammatory issues. The inflammatory system is mediated by fats, for better or worse. Bad fats, problem. Good fats, less problem. Like no problem. Good fats take care of the problem. That's why I call EFAs nature's aspirin.
But the EFAs are essential for the lung health. For
anywhere there's inflammation, prostaglandins are partially responsible, at least, maybe depending how you look at it, but at least partially responsible. And essential fatty acids are the precursors, the building blocks of prostaglandins. Or to be more direct, prostaglandins are forms of essential fatty acids. They're derivatives of essential fatty acids.
Okay.
And other fatty, not essential ones, not only essential ones, but other ones. But the essential ones are key.
So just like what you said, Dr. Wallach would say, make sure that you change your diet, fix your gut, no gluten, no wheat, barley, rye, oats, or buckwheat, no oils of any kind, no fried foods, and no processed meats. And then they say you need 2 healthy brain and heart packs, which because it's going to give you multiple sources of essential fatty acids, plus
Right.
the mighty 90, etc.,
Right.
and the selenium. So
right.
That is what Doc would say.
And he's right. And I would never, ever, ever want to question Doc. He's been right on so many things ahead of the curve. He was talking about fats and oils 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
Mhm.
He was talking about gluten 25 years ago. People were like, what, gluten? What are you talking about, gluten? And he was all over it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And no, Doc is he's advanced. But Doc simplified things in a different kind of way than I simplify them. Because I'm talking to more. He was talking to like people before they were really understanding nutrition back in the old days.
Well,
people are more sophisticated now.
Dr. Wallach would say, "Do what I say or die."
Doc was a character. Doc used to. He was a character. He's a character.
You do how you want.
Yeah.
But
Doc was a character.
All right.
All right.
That is the website, pharmacistbensacademy.com.
Pharmacist Ben's Academy, and I don't get to answer questions too much here, but I try to. But on Pharmacist Ben's Academy, we can spend a lot more time, and I can get to see everybody. I like seeing people.
Yeah, and that too. And Pharmacist Ben, we appreciate seeing you and all the time that you give us.
Thank you.
And thank you, Ruth Ellen and Keely, for being here and picking up
Ruth Ellen and Keely,
and handling everything for us. And we shall see you Friday on Pharmacist Fridays on Daily with Doc. Same bat time, same bat channel. And we will see you later. Thank you. Thank you, Ben.
Bye.